weapons of tomorrow on the streets today. One man must stand up for justice.
We make our own counter weapons to take out the ones in the streets, to stop the enemy without hurting them.
With a heart of gold, a will of iron,
this hammer time,
and a body of steel.
Where'd he go?
The Batcave?
Shaquille O'Neal, Steel.
Hey YouTubers, Hankster here, and welcome to, it's sort of video 6 of our Superman movie review marathon. But technically, I've really never seen this particular movie. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on what I know about it and all, and it might get you interested, maybe not. But it is something I didn't really plan on when I started planning this particular series, but then I realized, hey, it should be mentioned. It should be mentioned because it is connected to Superman one way or another. This, of course, is the movie Steel, 1997 movie starring former basketball star Shaquille O'Neal. Basically, it is based on the character Steel from the DC comic books, even though in the movie itself it does not feature any appearances by Superman or any characters from the Superman comic books outside of the character Steel. That was originally the character himself. If you don't really remember, Steel, of course, was one of the four men vying to be saying that they were Superman right after the death of Superman in the comic book storyline, Reign of the Supermen. And of course, if you remember, it was Steel, or he called himself at the time Man of Steel, and then of course there was Superboy, the Cyborg Superman, and the Eradicator. Of course, after when the real Superman did return, Steel did remain a superhero. Basically, in all intents and purposes, it's the DC comic books version of Iron Man. It's a man in a metal suit with gadgets and stuff, and of course, unlike Iron Man, of course, he wields a very big hammer, sort of like a smithy type hammer, and he, of course, fights crime. And of course, he had his own storyline there for quite a while there. I'm not totally sure what has become of the character since the big change over a year ago with the New 52 storyline in DC Comics now. I haven't really seen much of him since then, but since the change. But we'll see. Now, of course, Steel pretty much goes by. It basically is instead of having it connected to Superman, or in the sense of any death of Superman storyline, just made it separate as a guy, sort of more of a vigilante type guy who decides to take the law into his own hands. He builds his own suit of armor and takes on criminals with this suit. And of course, it's played by basketball star Shaquille O'Neal, who is trying to basically to prove that he could be an actor. I mean, I'm not totally sure if this was the time, I don't know if this was before or after Kazam, which I'm not sure if this was his first movie, Steel was his first movie or Kazam. I can't really remember. This, as I looked in, Steel did come out in 97. I don't remember when Kazam did. That was his Genie movie. But a few times he did try to establish his own acting career, like many sports stars and music stars and such tried to do. And of course, Steel kind of did bomb in the box office and all, and it's I don't even think it's a cult classic as I hear. And of course, if you're a Shaquille O'Neal fan, obviously you probably want to see this movie. And this is, as I said, this is more of the, even though it's based on a character from the comic books, it's totally a different origin, almost a different origin story than is what's supposed to be, which is for obvious reasons, because they never did a Death of Superman movie to, to do this kind of thing. So at the time, of course, it wasn't until just a few years ago when they did the Superman Doomsday animated movie, and of course, Steel was brought to animated life during the Superman animated series, but it also. The origin of the animated Steel was different than the comic books as well, because they didn't do a Death of Superman and animated concept until many years later too. They just kind of had it as a scientist who decides to try to help Superman with his own expertise in exosuits and stuff, which basically all it is. It's an exosuit, and they did do a sort of a semi pre-episode where he creates this back suit, an armor suit, but it kind of drove the intended wearer crazy, and he tried to take over Metropolis, and Superman had to stop him. And of course, then he just the scientist who created the steel armor finally does it right, and it becomes sort of a supporting, in a sense, a supporting character. Even though I don't think they did do any more animations with them in the future. Not even in this, I didn't even remember seeing him in episodes of the Justice League either. But pretty much, if you're obviously if you're a Shaquille O'Neal fan, you can check this movie. If you're kind of curious about, after hearing my thoughts about this movie, if you're kind of curious about checking this out, I might even check this out. I don't know. But it's connected to Superman, even though Superman's not. I mean, the only real reference to Superman is that Shaquille O'Neal in the movie sports a Superman shield tattoo. There's no other DC characters or superheroes mentioned in the movie or seen in it, so it's just basically a vehicle. It's just basically a vehicle for Shaquille O'Neal's acting career at the time. But I can't really tell you my personal opinion, if it's good or bad. You just have to go see it for yourself, and all. And this is a quick little my personal thoughts, reviews, type thing for this movie. And of course, the next one we'll be seeing, next review will be, of course, Superman Returns, which came out in 2006. And stay tuned here to the Multiverse for more reviews and whatnot. Stay tuned.